I was invited to Utah by Lavelle Edwards. Ended up being a place kicker on the BYU football team. It changed my life. I showed up here in a Honda CRX and a couple $100 in my pocket, and left with my degree in communications and started off in the business world. I worked for Nu Skin Enterprises for over 11 years, and it was just a wonderful experience. Can't thank them enough. I started out as an intern, ended up managing literally hundreds and hundreds of people responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for the company. And then I moved on and took on a number of different roles at different companies. And in 1995, my mother passed away from breast cancer after a 12-year fight, and it was so hard to watch that. It was the same year that the Huntsman started the Huntsman Cancer Institute, and I was so touched by that. Here was this family pouring hundreds of millions of dollars to fight a disease that killed my mother. And so when I read that John Huntsman Jr. was going to potentially run for governor, I through a mutual friend who had sent me an article, I pushed for an interview, and I got one. And I ended up spending 10 minutes with John Huntsman Jr. and said, hey, I want to help you on your campaign. Well, that 10-minute meeting turned into 30 minutes, which turned into, hey, come back next week. And before I knew it, some 6 weeks later, I had been invited to join the campaign to handle the media relations side of the Huntsman campaign. Well, a few weeks after that, the campaign manager had to step down, and John Huntsman invited me to be his campaign manager. We were driving to Fillmore, and John said, well, hey, congratulations, you're the new campaign manager. And I said, well, I've never done this before. And he said, well, I've never run for governor before, and we'll figure it out. And things obviously went well. And a year or so later, when John Huntsman won and became the 16th governor for Utah, he invited me to stay on as his chief of staff. And I said, of course, you know, John, I've never done this before. And he said, well, I've never been governor before. And so I did that for another year. So those 2 years with John Huntsman were very special, and I learned so much. And I came to realize that, boy, I think I can do this. I think I could do a better job than Chris Cannon's doing, because as the chief of staff, I got to see up close and personal who did what and how. And I thought, boy, I think I can do this, and I can do it better than he can.